Gemini, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Keeping in mind these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So take the messages that do and make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there as well. All right, my friends, let's get started and see what is the energy in the week ahead for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What is the energy of the week ahead here for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Ooh, No Place Like Home. That just came out. Oh, never-ending story. Interesting. A lot of cycles are being broken, you guys, this week. This is interesting. We are heading towards, I feel, a big shift, individually and collectively. And we're certainly seeing that in the readings for this week ahead. So we're seeing here No Place Like Home and Observer, which is card 50 and 49. So this is interesting. Really being guided to look at things from a different perspective, to really see yourself. And we're seeing here never-ending story, go the distance, and Yang with mending on the bottom of the deck. So you're really moving towards, oh my goodness, look at that. That's card 52 as well. You're really nearing the end of a cycle here, and it's interesting. It's almost like you're moving from the first card of this deck to the last card, right? So you're taking in the whole experience this week, Gemini. You're taking in the whole experience. You're seeing things from the biggest picture possible, the highest perspective. You're really looking at the culmination of an experience here. It's like you're reflecting on your life. It's like you're reflecting on your life, or the last sort of chapter that you went through, the last experiences, the last set of experiences. Is very interesting, and it's all coming together. It's all coming together to show you who you are. And then it's up to you to decide what you want to do next, which is why we're seeing this No Place Like Home card and this never-ending story in reverse with go the distance in the reverse. So you might be at a place right now where you've just completed a big chapter. Something has completed, and now you're sort of putting the pieces together. And that might sound like it was a difficult chapter, and for some of you it might have been a difficult chapter. For others of you, I feel like difficult might not be the right word. It might have just been challenging in its own way. And now you're sort of just bringing things back together to sort of feel like, what's my new version of home? What's my new comfort space now that things have been sort of shaken up a little bit? And it's interesting. You're sort of being guided to have a look at this from a different perspective, a much higher perspective than just looking at what's going on, like really trying to understand the wisdom of your experience. And what has your experience sort of been teaching you about yourself? And what is this experience teaching you about who you were in this experience, and what do you make of that? This is very interesting beginning to your reading, Gemini. Let's see what the tarot cards will reveal for you. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. There we go. Okay. Let's see here for Gemini. What is Gemini mending? What is Gemini releasing? What is Gemini observing? There's the Three of Cups in reverse. So and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So you're feeling low. You're feeling low. You don't feel like there's cause for celebration. You don't want to be around people. Your emotions are in a place right now where you almost feel you feel a little out of control, out of sync. Out of control in the sense that you don't feel like you're in control of what's happening in your life, and that is not making you feel good right now. And so you're trying to reestablish a new baseline here. And there's Judgment. So yeah, you're definitely at the end of something here. And there's the Emperor. You're being guided to really take the lead here and to really be your own guide right now. To really take the lead towards something new. And there's the Three of Wands, where you're sort of making you're making I feel like you're making a shift here, and now you're just, all that's left to do is sort of see what happens and see how it all comes together. It's interesting. You've got that Ace of Wands, beautiful Ace of Wands on the bottom of the deck. You're starting something new. You've got, or did I say Ace of Wands? Ace of Pentacles, sorry. When I said Ace of Wands, I was sort of looking at this Yang card, the fiery energy of this Yang card and the grounded energy of this Ace of Pentacles is very interesting. You are starting something new. On the heels of closing out a chapter that is you need healing from this. You need to be sort of recovering. You're recovering from something. And it's brought you to a place where now you understand, or you're starting to understand what that experience was really trying to teach you about yourself. And it's interesting. I almost feel like you're starting to do some imagining or some, some sort of thinking about, well, what do I want to do now that I'm at the end of this chapter? What do I want to do next? And you've got that Three of Wands there, which is sort of this like waiting for the results energy, right? Like sort of trying to understand the progress that you're making. And it's an optimistic card, actually. It's a very optimistic card. And I feel like you're slowly moving through this time where you didn't feel very good emotionally. You were feeling really low. You might have been feeling like there's nothing for me to celebrate. Nothing is good. Really feeling kind of pessimistic and not seeing that connection right here, not really feeling connected to others, not really feeling like you want to even talk to people. I almost feel like you felt left out here, and that this is an interesting time of sort of needing to expand your experience rather than let it get smaller. And this, I think, is directly related to whatever this cycle ending is. It just left you feeling like, I just want to be by myself. And seeing that Wheel of Fortune in reverse tells me that you didn't think the outcome was fair. You might have even thought that it was sort of a setback, and not really seeing that there could have been a reason that this needed to happen. Like the hand that is turning that wheel there, that's sort of like, that's the universe. That's the source or the force of this universe moving things in your life. And so when it comes in the reverse, that with the combination of these other cards, that really tells me that you're on the path of like an aha moment here, but it came through an experience that was you felt low, you felt sad, you felt left out, you felt, like you didn't know where you belonged anymore. And I think that's why we're seeing No Place Like Home, because something shook the foundation for you enough that now you're questioning what you're going to do next. And I feel like you're moving towards this new beginning. Seeing that Three of Cups in reverse could also be that you might need to make amends, or someone might need to make amends. There is mending here and here. And so it's very interesting. This is transformative, though. This is like a revelation. You're going to understand things. And it's almost like there's this separation in your reading where it's like you feel low, you feel disconnected, you feel like you don't belong, you don't want to talk to anybody, you just want to be left alone a little bit, even though you're feeling like, lonely. And so it's interesting. And on top of that, you're sort of feeling like the circumstances around you are outside of your control and they're not positive. Like that's sort of the judgment you've given. And then all of a sudden things shift in this part of your reading where you start to really understand why this shift had to happen the way it did. And even though you feel a little exhausted and down and low, you're being guided to keep going towards this new beginning. Because that new beginning is here, and it's going to be very healing for you. It's going to be very much a time of recovery and then expansion. Recovery and then expansion. Very interesting. Let's clarify some of this. There's the High Priestess. So intuitively, I feel like you're being guided here intuitively, but because, we're having a human experience, you're you're feeling that emotion of, this isn't fair, and I feel left out, I feel disconnected. Why did this have to happen? And I think intuitively you know why it had to happen. This is a big shift. That Knight of Swords brings in a lot of change, and that's landing right on the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So that tells me that you're not on board with the way this shifted. Something shifted in your life here, Gemini, and you would have rathered it didn't shift that way. This made you uncomfortable, to say the least. It feels like it was an experience that you were trying to avoid. You didn't want this to happen. But it had to happen because there is something that it's going to bring through that will, be almost, like I said, a revelation, something that really brings your experience into clarity. And we're seeing the Justice card here. So, it's aligning you to a new path. This, as uncomfortable as it made you feel, and maybe as unfortunate as it felt, this is actually bringing you back into balance so that you can do something brand new. Yeah, but you might be hanging on still. With that Four of Pentacles, you might sort of still be hanging on because you don't want to let go of that never-ending story. There it is, right? You don't want to let go of something, but it's almost like that had to shift so that you would be free to do something new. And you're being guided to let go of that, but I can see that you're sort of still, with that Two of Swords, you don't know which way to go with things. Perhaps that Two of Swords is why we're seeing the Observer. So you need to get a different perspective so that it's clearer which way to go, so that you can sort of start to expect those miracles to come through for you. And look, there's the Ace of Wands that I said about the Ace of Pentacles, but it's coming through in the reverse. And I think that that's coming through reversed for you because right now you're saying you're still focusing on what the catalyst was. You're focusing on what catalyzed this new chapter for you, and whatever was the catalyst, whatever shifted in order for all of this other stuff to shift, felt unfortunate. It felt unfair. It felt disappointing. It's making you feel sad. So you're sort of throwing your thumb down to the universe when you see that Ace of Wands. But there is a new beginning here for you. Bottom of the deck, is the Ten of Swords. Something really did upset you here. Something took you down. It took you down. There was a big shift, an end of a chapter that was a difficult one, but it's leading to a new beginning for you. One that I feel is going to be very, very it's going to start off with a lot of recovery, and then it's going to sort of be this timeline that is all new. It's all new stuff, and it's going to be a brand new cycle, and something had to go, something had to shift, something had to transform in order for you to be lined up with this new timeline. It's interesting. Let's see, what is the final messages here for Gemini about this big shift that came along. Work through your fears is coming through. So perhaps something in this shift brought out some of your fears. It's sort of was necessary so that you could face these fears. I wonder what those fears could be. Perhaps a fear of change, perhaps a fear of new beginnings. And look at that, the end of a tough cycle approaches on the bottom of the deck. So you are nearing the end of this. You are nearing the end of this, Gemini, but it's almost like you need to find a way to look at this and say, aside from this being uncomfortable and I feel like it's unfortunate, what else could this experience, why else could this have happened? Perhaps it happened to change your day-to-day life, which is what this Knight of Swords comes in to do. Perhaps it happened so that you could let go of something in order to be free to do something else. Perhaps it happened so that this new beginning could be initiated. You might not have been able to land into this new beginning without this ending. Very interesting reading for you this week, Gemini. I remember last week's reading for you was all about you doing something new. So perhaps this is the week where you sort of figure out why things had to change so that you could do something new. And maybe you're starting to sort of figure out what that new path looks like. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much. I hope this reading was helpful. And if it's resonated for you, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. And if you would like a personal reading, you can find that information in the description below. All right, I'm sending you so much love and light, my friends. Looking forward to reading for you again soon. Take care.